I have asked myself a lot of difficult questions over the course of my lifetime. One question I have never asked: how can I lead if I have two good arms? This week we're talking about Snowpiercer on the Everyman Movie Review. So as I've been doing for the last couple weeks, I wanted to send a shout out to everyone who is trapped inside during quarantine. Thank you to everyone who is staying at home and trying to flatten the curve. And the opposite of that, I'll say, without using any cursing, to those of you who continue to have parties with 5, 6, 10, 15 people over, you are doing exactly the opposite. I know how frustrating it is to be stuck at home, to be able not to leave, to just have the same 4 or 5 people around, and you get on each other's nerves and you drive each other crazy, but this is what we have to do to defeat this thing. My grandfather went in at D-Day +3 and fought Germans in Europe. All you have to do is stay home. So stay home. Now onto the movie. One of the good things about Boong Joon Ho's win at the Oscars this year is everyone is now interested in all of the work that came before. Now, this movie this week, Snowpiercer, is a movie I saw way back in 2013, but I took the opportunity to watch again since what else am I going to do? And I enjoyed it just as much the second time as I did the first time around. But before we get too far into it, let's get through the pleasantries, shall we? So of course, Snowpiercer was directed by Boong Joon Ho. It was written by Boong Joon Ho and Kelly Masterson, and it is based on a French story written by Jacques Loeb, Benjamin Leran, and Jean-Marc Rochet. That story, if you're interested, and I'm probably going to butcher this, is Les Transparasiages. I think that's right. But if you can read French, I'm sure you can check it out, or there's probably a really good translation somewhere. So the year's 2014, and we're finally getting around to addressing that climate crisis that we have going on. That would have been nice. And the way that we're going to do this is by spraying this new chemical agent in the air. And that is supposed to start the cool down of the Earth, which will help, obviously, global warming. But something goes horribly wrong, and the entire Earth turns back into Snowball Earth. If you guys aren't aware about Snowball Earth, there's some fantastic Nat Geo and History Channel stories and shows on Snowball Earth. There's a period in Earth's history when we had completely iced over, and the entire Earth was basically one big snowball. I find it to be a fascinating period in Earth's history, although humans obviously didn't really live through that. It's something you should check out if you're interested. But one person had the presence of mind to know that this experiment would go horribly wrong, and his name, William Wilford. Wilford buys up all the old train lines and creates a self-contained environment inside a train and a train loop that lasts exactly 1 year all the way around the globe. Now, it's set off as a luxury cruise line on land, but when the environmental crisis goes awry, it turns out that all of humanity goes extinct except for those chosen few on the train. The train's name, of course, is the Snowpiercer. Now, years have passed, and the train itself has been divided not just by class, because, all transportation is separated by class. Even today, we have flights with first, business select, and then the rest of us back in steerage, coach. But we are willing, of course, to pay an extra $90 for that 6 extra inches of leg space. And in the event of an emergency, you're going to be required to have all the forethought and calmness of aircraft personnel. So with the train being divided into classes already, and those classes being divided up to certain sections of the train, it's easy to see how this could go wrong in the long term, and of course it does. Those back in third class at the tail of the train are the workers, the ones who keep the train running, and then as you move forward through second and first class, everyone lives a little bit better life than the ones above them. But as so frequently happens with humans in these kind of situations, those at the bottom seek to overthrow those at the top. Along the course of the movie, we learn that there have been several separate uprisings which have all failed. But now our hero, Curtis, played by Chris Evans, is going to lead a new revolt. And I'm just really realizing I skipped all of the actors, so let's go through those as well. Our protagonist, Curtis, is of course played by Chris Evans. Kang-ho Song, who is a famous Korean actor, plays the second protagonist, Namgung Min-so. Ed Harris plays the shadowy Wilford. John Hurt as Gilliam, the amputee somewhat leader of the resistance. Tilda Swinton in an amazing role as Mason. Jamie Bell as Edgar. Octavia Spencer in a fantastic performance again as Tanya. And they're supported by a kind of a who's who of supporting cast. Ewan Bremner as Andrew. Ko Asung as Yona. Alison Pill as the first class teacher, and a group of familiar faces that we see pretty often as the steerage passengers move up towards first class. So I'm not going to do a spoiler section. Obviously, this is a movie from 2013. If you really want to see it, and I highly recommend that you do, spoiler of my own review here, then I would say pause right here and go check it out if you're worried about spoilers. But again, it's a movie that's 7 years old. But in the end, Chris Evans starts leading the the steerage passengers up through the train, and they are being led by little clues from someone in first class. Now, allegedly, the someone in first class wants the whole system to be overthrown to make things more egalitarian. And so they're sending clues back on how they can do this. There's someone 2 cars up that can help them get through all the doors the rest of the way. So if they can get through 2 doors, then they can get a person who will help them the rest of the way. And then all along the way, little hints and clues come out, and they find out things about their life that they might not have wanted to find out. Like, instead of food, everyone in steerage is fed these little protein bars. And then later they find out what those protein bars are made of. And they know that they can fight hand to hand because the guns have no bullets. All the bullets were used up in a previous revolution. But were they? Well, they come to find out that they may not waste them on the day-to-day, but on a special occasion, Wilford will break out some bullets. And a pregnant Alison Pill looks like a badass when breaking out a MAC-10 and shooting down some steerage passengers. But eventually, Chris reaches his success point, and he takes hostage Mason, who is kind of the third-class liaison for Wilford. She's the one who comes back, she deals out punishment, and she sends messages because Wilford is just too busy with his whole life to actually speak to the third-class passengers himself. And once they have Mason in hand, well, it makes it a lot easier to get through the second and first class, and then we get a sight of the train as it really is. For those in third class, it's a dark, dank, stinky, smoky, terrible existence. But the further you get to the front, the better life gives. Because remember, the engine is the life of the train. So water and air and everything flows from the front to the back. When you're in the back, you only get what's left over. When you're in the front, you get the best of the best. But it's also a closed ecosystem. So although the earth outside may be barren and frozen, inside they have steaks, they have fish, sushi, in fact, a couple times a year, and a ton of other amenities that you might not see otherwise, including something called chronol, which is a drug. It's basically toxic waste created by the engine that everyone gets high on, including the helper that they rescue from 2 cars up. And while I won't give the entire thing away, what I will say is that this movie, both the first watching and again on the second watching, left me surprised at multiple turns. I completely forgot what the twist of the movie was, and when it happened, it caught me by surprise again. And I love when you can let some time pass and you watch a movie that you knew you liked the first time, and it gets you just as well the second time. So I think maybe one, that has something to do with Boong Joon Ho and his ability to storytell visually. He's amazing at it, and being able to watch it 7 years later and just say, oh, God, you got me again. That's a skill set. And I think there's a reason he won an Oscar, because he's good with that. But everything about this movie, you think of it as, well, how much of a story can you really tell on a train? Well, there's some inconsistencies. I don't know how long this thing is. It seems at some points to be miles long, and at other points to just be a few hundred yards long. And at other points, it seems to be, super wide, and at some points it seems to be very narrow. It just seems to play into whatever they need at any given time. And I mean, that's okay. You can have some suspension of disbelief. Again, the standard that we go by is, can you enjoy yourself while watching a movie? And while I usually take time to do other things, whether it's work on the website or write or, edit videos for all of you while I'm watching movies, I found myself unable to do those things because it seemed like uncharacteristically, meaning not according to any pre-designed script, things were happening and catching me off guard. So I said, you know what, I got to pay attention to this thing. This guy is going to catch me by surprise with something, and I don't want to miss anything. So I think that is a high compliment for a movie, and I think Boong Joon Ho did a fantastic job in portraying everything that he wanted to show. And of course, my political proclivities aside, I do love a revolution movie. And when you have Chris Evans leading a revolution, it's nothing bad about that, I think. One of the things I will kind of spoil for you, so if you're worried about about to skip this or whatever, but my opening there about having 2 good arms, there is this reveal later on, and I won't give all of it away, but essentially, in order to survive before the protein bars appeared, the passengers way back in steerage started chopping off their own limbs so that they could have food for everyone. So Gilliam, played by John Hurt, doesn't have an arm, and he's also missing both of his legs. And that was kind of a sign of leadership. Like, you stood up and gave up huge parts of you so that everyone could survive. And Curtis is telling this emotional story about how he could not get himself to the point that he could chop off his own limb and give it to everyone else. And so how could he be a leader of all these people when he couldn't make that sacrifice? And, Gilliam comes to this point where he says, we need a leader who had all of their limbs. That's going to be important. So you can lead in other ways. And it's like a really emotional moment. But when you stop for a second and you think, like, you're having a conversation about how I can't lead because I never chopped off my own arm to give it to everyone to eat. That is some dark stuff. And it's in the context of a conversation that is already very dark. I am continually amazed by Boong Joon Ho and all of his movies and everything that he does. I'm going to dive in and probably do reviews on all of them just because I think if you haven't seen them, you absolutely should. And if you see this video pop up, maybe it'll remind you like, oh yeah, he did that movie. I should absolutely check that out because you probably should. And I will say, once I thought I had figured it out again, I forgot how the thing ended. I forgot what the twist was. Twist comes, catches me by surprise. I think I figure it out again. Bam, you catch me off guard again, and I don't have it figured out. And that kind of keeping you guessing thing is exactly what I want when I take 90 minutes to watch a movie. So bravo to Boong Joon Ho for keeping me guessing, even an avid movie watcher. You got me. And I came out of that entire movie experience just completely satisfied. So let's go through our typical questions. Is this movie for you? Honestly, it's an action movie. It's kind of an adventure movie. It's a trip, although not really so much. You're going from the back of a train to the front of a train. There are some political overtones, but it's not overly political. It's not right-left. It's not, arguably somewhat communist and capitalist. There's some others overtones as well, but it doesn't bang you over the head with any of that stuff. I was able to enjoy it because I can see where Boong Joon Ho and, probably the source material as well tried to work some of those things in, but the overarching story kind of just muddled it out in a way that helps you absorb it without it really being too in your face. So don't worry about the political nature of it. I mean, if you like Chris Evans, I know some people don't like Chris Evans at all, and it's a lot of Chris Evans. So if you don't like him, you're probably not going to like this movie. If you don't like a lot of violence, there's some fighting. It's hand-to-hand axe and knife fighting, so there is some blood, there's some gore. I'm not going to say it's not appropriate for all ages. It's probably really not appropriate for small kids, but even a young teenager, 12, 13, I would be totally fine with having them watch this because I don't think it shows too much for them. There may be parts where you want to cover the eyes or have them turn away, but you kind of see them coming when it's about to happen. There's one character who just has bloodlust, like a crazy bloodlust. And basically when you see him pop up on the screen, all right, kiddos, turn your head away because this is not going to be for you. But otherwise, it's pretty friendly for everyone. And I just think the overarching lessons of this is what we do to ourselves. This is a statement on humanity that no matter what, it makes me think of the Stanford prison experiment where you take 24 people who are all equal and strangers to each other. You make 12 guards and 12 prisoners, and it takes them 24 hours to divide into this power dynamic of you have all the power and I have none, and I have to just do what you tell me to do. This is kind of a larger example of that, and I think it makes a good statement about people. And again, these are trying times for all of us. We're all kind of stuck inside, and these dynamics are starting to flex themselves in our own environments. And I think just seeing a cinematic version of that and being entertained by it can help us kind of keep perspective. I am always looking for something that can help key me in to other people's perspectives, and I think this is in a way something that can do that. If you want to take a more philosophical view of a movie, this is the kind of movie that'll let you do that. If you just want to sit and be entertained by Chris Evans doing everything he can to accomplish a mission, this movie gives you that too. So it's kind of the perfect combination of both. Overall, though, I give Snowpiercer 2 thumbs up. Definitely, it's worth the 2-hour viewing time. Go and check it out. I mean, honestly, what else are you going to do? You're stuck inside. Go check out Snowpiercer today. Well, there you have it. Yet another episode of the Everyman Movie Review in the books. Right at the top here, I'd like to thank my patrons. I could not do this without you guys. You are a constant source of moral support and, of course, financial support to help me keep going. The great quality camera, the mics, the lights, everything. We have stepped up our game in 2020, and that is thanks in major part to you. If you aren't one of my patrons on Patreon and you'd like to be one of the chosen few, it's super easy. Go on over to patreon.com, that's patreon.com/Robert N. Cheek, and for as little as $1 a month, you can get early access to tons of material, behind the scenes action, and a lot of stuff that no one will ever see except for my patrons on Patreon. You're also going to be able to find a link down in the show notes, so check that out there. It's super easy. Next up, of course, I hope everyone is staying safe and staying well, staying healthy, no matter where you are in the world, in the United States specifically. I hope you are staying at home and staying in quarantine. It is unbelievably important. Please, stay at home. And hey, I know it's boring. You're stuck inside. You're going stir crazy. Well, luckily, I have a ton of content for you over on my YouTube channel. Just go to youtube.com/Rob Cheek. You'll be able to check out videos not only of the Everyman Movie review, but a ton of other stuff as well. I got parody videos where we sing songs inspired by Corona, but that are based on other songs. I've got my life videos. I went and got a Corona test. You can watch me do it and see how unscary it really is. You can check out all of those videos at youtube.com/Rob Cheek. And you know what? Why not subscribe while you're there? Then you'll get a notification every time that I update, and you won't miss out on any of the new content. And if you watch the YouTube videos regularly, make sure you're going over to anchor.fm/Everyman Movie Review. This show is available in podcast form. We don't always have time to sit down at a computer or at our phones and watch content, but you will almost always have time to listen. So if you don't have time in a week to check out the new episode, because we do have 2 coming every single week, go on over to anchor.fm/Everyman Movie Reviews and check out the podcast version of the show. It's just as good, you just can't see my face. And do you have a suggestion for a movie that I should do? I don't know. Did I miss the mark on a review? Well, it's super easy to let me know. Either go down into the comment section below any video and leave a comment. I try to reply to every single comment that's left. Or go to anchor.fm/Everyman Movie Review /message, and you can leave me a voicemail, you can send me a text. I can actually have it played on the show itself if you give me permission. It's easy, easy, easy to find me online. If you want to reach out to the show itself, all of the links are going to be down in the show notes, but we are available on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. And if you want to reach out to me personally, it's even easier. I'm available on all social media at Robert N. Cheek. In fact, I just started a brand new group on Facebook where people can talk about everything that I'm working on, whether it's the personal vlog videos, the Everyman Movie reviews, the parody songs, everything. So go on over to facebook.com and check out the RNC fan group and join today. And finally, if you can't get enough of me because, why would you? You can check out me and my buddy Corey every single Tuesday with a new episode of the Oh the Anthem podcast. It's available both in video and audio format at youtube.com/Oh the Anthem and anchor.fm/Oh the Anthem. That and tons of other content are also available at ohtheanthem.com. Go there, check out our merch store. You can find out some of the shirts that we wear on the show. You can find old episodes, you can find the short films, you can find the web series. Everything is available at ohtheanthem.com. I've told you before, I'm currently rebuilding the website. Well, that rebuild has started, it's underway, and now the brand new robertncheek.com is available. Go over to robertncheek.com and check it out. It's a work in progress, so hey, give me a little time. I'm building it myself. But you'll be able to find all my new stuff and be able to contact me, sign up for the email list, find my Patreon page, find Oh the Anthem, and everything right there. It's going to be one place to find everything me on the web. robertncheek.com. So thank you for joining me for this week's episode. Make sure you check out, we have new episodes coming 2 per week. Sunday, Monday, and every Thursday a brand new episode on YouTube and on Anchor in podcast form. You're not going to want to miss any of these. I will be with you through every bit of this quarantine period, so don't miss it. Stay home, stay quarantined, stay safe, and stay healthy. Take care of yourself and each other. Thank you as always, and have a great week.